Why does this topic ignite such emotion, yet it produces so little meaningful dialogue? Abortion is one of the most polarizing issues in the world. It touches the most personal aspects of life: bodily autonomy, morality, parenthood, and even faith. And yet, the public conversation often feels anything but personal. It's loud, angry, and shallow. People are shouted down before they're heard. Arguments are framed in absolutes, like pro-life versus pro-choice or good versus evil, leaving no room for the gray areas where most people actually live. For decades, court cases and political campaigns have treated abortion as a wedge issue and not a human one. In the process, the real stories of fear, courage, trauma, and care all get lost in the noise. This video doesn't promise easy answers, but it does offer a starting point for understanding. We'll explore both sides with honesty and ask, is there space to listen, even if we still disagree? Why do many believe access to abortion is a fundamental right? To supporters of reproductive rights, abortion isn't about killing, it's about a woman's control of her body. The ability to decide if, when, and how to have children is seen as essential to a woman's freedom and equality in today's society. To women, pregnancy isn't just a medical event, it's a life-altering experience. For those in abusive relationships, poverty, or facing health complications, being forced to carry a pregnancy can feel like a sentence. Pro-choice advocates argue that banning abortion doesn't stop it, it just makes it very dangerous. History and global data show that where abortion is illegal, women still seek it out, often risking their lives in the process. There's also the belief that no law can understand every context, like a 14-year-old rape victim, a woman with cancer, or a fetus with no brain development. These aren't hypotheticals, they're real people with complex lives. To be pro-choice, they argue, is not to celebrate abortion. It's to defend a woman's right to choose what's best for herself, in the hardest moments of her life. Why do others believe life begins at conception and must be protected? To pro-life advocates, abortion ends a human life. Full stop. Whether that life is small, unseen, or unborn doesn't change its value. They believe the right to life is the most foundational of all rights. For many, this belief is rooted in faith. For others, it's about science. They point to heartbeat detection at 6 weeks, or fetal pain theories. To them, every abortion represents a potential child who never had a chance. Pro-life supporters often speak not only for the unborn, but also for the mothers they believe are being failed. They cite post-abortion regret, lack of alternatives, and the absence of emotional support. They also advocate for adoption, parenting assistance, and pregnancy centers. To them, true justice means protecting both mother and child, offering help, not harm. Critics may call them controlling, but most believe they are defending the defenseless, and acting out of love, not judgment. How do real-world emergencies complicate black and white laws? Imagine this: a wanted pregnancy turns dangerous, the fetus has no skull, and the mother's life is in danger. The doctors know the child won't survive, but laws prevent them from acting until the situation becomes critical. This isn't fiction, it's reality in states with extreme abortion bans, and it leaves doctors, parents, and patients trapped between legal risk and human need. Rape and incest cases create another layer of pain. Should a 10-year-old have to carry a pregnancy to term? What if reporting requirements re-traumatize survivors? Even miscarriages can raise legal red flags. In some places, women have been investigated after experiencing pregnancy loss, suspected of inducing abortion despite no wrongdoing. These stories reveal a truth: real life doesn't always fit into neat legal boxes. Tragedy, complexity, and nuance demand flexibility. Whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, ignoring these cases does a disservice to the very lives we claim to value. How has America shifted since the Dobbs v. Jackson decision that ended federal abortion protections? The 2022 Supreme Court decision in Dobbs v. Jackson returned abortion law back to the states. Almost overnight, the country became a patchwork of rights and restrictions. Some states banned abortion entirely, others expanded access and welcomed out-of-state patients. In between, confusion reigned, laws changed weekly, clinics closed, protests grew louder, and lives were disrupted. Women in conservative states began traveling hundreds of miles for care. Doctors reported delays in treating miscarriages out of fear of prosecution. Some healthcare providers left the profession entirely. Politically, the ruling energized both sides. Pro-choice voters surged to the polls, and pro-life lawmakers rushed to legislate. Meanwhile, the people most affected, women facing unwanted or unsafe pregnancies, became political footballs. Dobbs didn't end the abortion debate. It reignited it, and raised new questions about federalism, privacy, and who gets to decide. Is the country really as divided as the headlines make it seem? Surprisingly, no. Most Americans support some legal access to abortion, especially in the first trimester. Most also support some restrictions later in pregnancy, especially in the case of elective procedures. This muddled middle isn't wishy-washy, it's just reality. People believe life matters, and they also believe in compassion. The hard part is finding language and laws that reflect both. Politicians often ignore this middle ground, mostly because extremism mobilizes more votes. But the public is far more thoughtful than they're given credit for. Many want compromise, mandatory counseling, waiting periods, earlier access but later limits, along with better sex education and contraceptive access. If we listened more to the average voter and less to the loudest activists, we might find common ground isn't a fantasy, it just hasn't been tried. Can we build a society that respects both the unborn and the woman? Maybe it starts with the language that we use. If pro-life meant also supporting childcare, healthcare, and education, how many more would choose life? And if pro-choice meant having deep, compassionate conversation about the weight of abortion, would the stigma fade? We could invest in women before they're pregnant by making contraception free and universal. We could also support adoption reform and build better safety nets. Imagine if we judged less and listened more, creating a culture where the least worst option wasn't often the only option. It's not about compromising values, it's about expanding compassion. We can hold life sacred and still trust women. Maybe the solution isn't winning the argument, maybe it's changing the question. How is the next generation learning, and what are we leaving out? In high schools and online spaces, teens are quickly and intensely absorbing the abortion debate. But what are they learning? Often it's not balanced. TikToks simplify it, while memes weaponize it and most classrooms avoid it. Comprehensive sex education is inconsistent. Some schools teach abstinence only, while others avoid discussing abortion altogether, leaving gaps to be filled by internet influencers and partisan content. Many teens grow up thinking abortion is either evil or empowering, and never hear about the lived experiences and heartbreaks of actual pregnant women. Yet these same teens will soon be voters, patients, parents, or policymakers. What they believe matters, and what we teach them now will echo into the next generation. It's not about indoctrination, it's about information. It's time we taught nuance, not noise. Can we stop the shouting long enough to remember who's at the center of this debate? Abortion isn't just a political issue, it's a human one. Behind every protest sign is a person, often afraid, often grieving, and often hoping to do what's right in a world that doesn't make it easy. We may never agree on when life begins, but we can agree that every life involved, born or unborn, deserves dignity. We can create space for difference without hostility, and we can hold our convictions while still holding each other. We can ask better questions, like what support systems reduce abortion rates, or how can we honor conscience and choice. We won't solve this today, but if we speak with more honesty than heat, and with more empathy than certainty, then we can finally begin to work together. This debate doesn't need more anger, it needs more understanding. Well, what do you think? Can we have a more productive conversation around the topic of abortion? Let us know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell if you believe this debate needs more compassion and less division. Share this video and let's prove finding common ground isn't impossible. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.